All right, everybody, welcome, welcome. I'm sure we'll have a few people coming in here as we roll, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Um, for anybody out there who has seen a friend or seen even just somebody online do really, really well online, you say, well, how do they do it? Or, sometimes you say, well, they're not, I went to school with them. They're not as smart as me, or I went to school, I went to college and they didn't, or, in a lot of cases these days, you can bypass a lot of the struggle that it used to take to start a business or even an online business. When I started my first digital business back in 2001, it was a lot more difficult. So today we're going to talk about how things have gotten easier, why being an expert in the digital economy is the smartest thing to do these days. Because if you have over 5 years of business experience in pretty much almost any category, you probably have enough knowledge to be monetizing it in the digital space in some capacity. That doesn't mean you're going to start a business empire overnight, but if you get out there and start helping people, the results do come and they can come quickly. So today we're going to cover the 5 phases. Things happen in steps, right? When you build a business, when you build an online system, it's best to do them in stages and phases because sometimes we try to rush right into paid traffic, right? We think, okay, well, paid traffic is the way to go. Boy, if I could just get somebody to run Facebook ads for me and run traffic to my online business, it's the way to go. Oftentimes, you just end up paying Facebook a lot of money for nothing because if you don't have your business set up correctly, then you're not really you're not going to get revenue from those ads because you need a very efficient content system ahead of those ads to turn traffic into loyal customers. So for anybody who has a business out there and you haven't really figured out how to do the digital thing yet, or anybody who has tried it and has struggled, there's a lot of people online that say they know how to do this, this, and this, and maybe they've done it once, or maybe they bought a course on how to do something and they're telling you they know how to do it. And that's okay too, but you just have to be realistic with your expectations. So we live in a world where employees aren't getting paid what they're used to. Wage rates have been flat for the last 2 decades in a lot of ways. And it's not exactly a good time to be an employee, although, in times like these, some people are happy to have a job at all, which I totally understand. But, experts get paid more when you can really be an expert at what you do. Maybe you've tried to write a book. Maybe you've spent a bunch of time making YouTube videos, right? That's a big one too. People spend hours and hours and hours on YouTube or even on Facebook building a platform, building an audience, and Facebook just decides one day that they're going to change their policies. And, you're kind of out of luck because whether it's YouTube or Facebook or any other platform, you don't own that. You don't own those platforms. So you want to make sure that you have your equation balanced. It's good to have these platforms. Social media is fantastic. But if you don't have your own website, you don't have your own content that you control and your story that you control as a digital expert, then you're playing roulette. So you want to think about that and how you balance, especially if you start to grow. So we live in a knowledge economy. Ideas are the content of the internet, right? That's what moves things around the internet, good ideas. And I bet you have good ideas. Most of us do, but it's the people who put them into organized action that makes the difference. So for today and for the rest of this week, I want you to tune out the people that say, oh, you should be doing this or oh, you should be doing that, and talk with somebody, right? Talk to somebody who's done it. And I've done it. I got a friend here, Carson. He's on the call with us. He's doing it. He's talking about balance. You can't rely on any one specific avenue. So thanks, Carson. So really, though, you have an idea, you have a service, you have an expertise. It starts with that idea. I bet as you're going to sleep at night or you're on the weekends, you're thinking about, boy, it'd be nice if I could turn what I know about this into something, right? And so we're going to talk about that here today. We're going to talk about the 5 steps so you can do it incrementally so you don't get ahead of yourself, spend a bunch of money you don't need to. I have coaches or consultants, they'll call me and say, I just spent $10,000 on a coaching course. I got some phone calls with a coach, but I have no digital assets. I haven't built anything. I've got really nothing to show for it. So, you don't need to go spend a ton of money to get started. Oftentimes you can get a website up, in a weekend. But if your ideas aren't right, and not just your ideas, but a refined idea that's ready for the market. So you want to think about that. Is your idea ready and refined for the market? Because no matter what, I don't care if you sell a computer, I don't care if you sell a book, I don't care if you sell a supplement, I don't care if you sell a service, it can be anything. The only thing you're ever doing in economics, period, you're taking somebody from where they are to where they want to be, in the sense that, if you have a laptop computer or, whatever the case may be. I wanted to buy I have my Jambox speaker, right? For me to build this thing, I would have to first become an electrical engineer and all that, but it's clearly way more of a value to spend $90 and get this thing from the store, right? That's the only economics 101 you ever need, is understanding, okay, what do I know that can help others go from this spot to this spot, and not A to Z, A to B or A to C. You want to help them move a few steps. And these days I work a lot with coaches, authors, consultants, people who've done really, really well in business, and they have a lot of knowledge that they accumulated through business. And now they want to teach others. And that's very valuable. You can make tremendous money being a consultant and a teacher online these days. So you got to think about, okay, here's everything I've learned in my last 20 years as a whatever, right? And then you look back on your journey. People say, well, I don't know how to market. I'm not sure how to explain what I do. Well, the simplest way to do that is to look back over the last few years, or the last several years of your own transformation, the things you struggled with, the things you had challenges with, the things that held you up. And then also, in your industry, right? Where are people overspending on things you know how to save money on? Where are people being led down a wrong road? Maybe you had to take the wrong road yourself, right? All these things can be circled back into a refined product idea. So I'm not going to get into detail with that too much today, but once you have that concept starting to build some momentum, you start thinking about, okay, pricing, right? I'm going to do a few calls with a person. Maybe you're in a weight loss avenue, right? I'm going to work with people for 3 months and help them get their diet plan on track. That's huge. And, do you know the value of that's so valuable to the world and to people, to our society? Health epidemic of people with poor diets, not understanding how to eat well, your poor habits. There's a tremendous, continues to be a tremendous opportunity there if you're passionate about helping people with health and wellness, something I'm passionate about as well. But it's the refinement of that idea. You've got to get it to a certain point where, if you build your boat and put it out in the water, it's going to float and not just be something that's sort of, you throw it on the wall and see what sticks, right? That's really not quite the idea. So you want to have a refined idea. And we're going to talk more about that before we close. But the next thing I want to talk about is proof of concept. Your proof of concept is, here's the thing, and Carson, I appreciate you being here because you're the perfect person at the perfect time here. If you want to jump on with me too, just flag me here. I'll bring you on. But he's a Facebook advertiser, and for Carson to do well with your business and to say, okay, Carson, I've got this business. I'm ready to turn the traffic on, and we want to go for it and go big. Well, he's going to say, okay, do you have a validated proof of concept? That means, have you proven that other people will buy your program, your product, your process? Do you have a validated proof of concept? That's the number one thing they're going to ask you. The other thing you're going to need are your brand assets around that. Does it, do you have a brand? Do you have some visuals? Do you have some text and some content to call them out? Hey, Tyler, what's up? Thanks for being here. So when you think about, okay, am I ready to scale and grow online? What is the proof of concept? Have you done some sales? Have you had some sales? Have you had some testimonials built up, right? So here's the thing. I coach people through this a lot, and a lot of people will wait until, I've got to build my website. This web designer, I called him, he didn't call me back, and now 2 weeks go by and I still don't have my business. I'm so mad at that guy. A lot of this is about mindset, and this is where a lot of people get stuck. My best students, the people that come through my programs and really kick ass, they're making calls before their website's even done. They're making calls to students and to people before they're even, everything's all set up and perfect, right? Because it's a hunger. There's a certain hunger that you have to serve others. And you wouldn't be watching this if you didn't. I know you have a passion. I know you have a mission. And, what other choice do we have in this life? We can work for somebody and work for a job that people don't really care about us. We can, kind of sock away money, and sometimes that helps, but other times people make a lot of money. I work with people on the West Coast. They're literally professional coaches. I work with professional coaches on the West Coast. They work with people who, listen to this, I made so much money, but I'm so unhappy. I need help figuring out where I went wrong. And that's a reality. The economy is huge. Like the American economy, the global economy, you can make a living doing just about anything provided you want to be good at it and provided you're willing to bring value to others. So if you like talking to people, you like helping people through their problems, if you have an expertise, like I was saying at the beginning of the video, you're probably missing out on a pretty big opportunity for yourself. So the second point we were talking about was proof of concept. That's a big one. So you want to refine your idea, get out there and help some people. Do it for free first. Do it at a discount. When I get started with a new program, I like to help a few people through it and say, listen, I don't even want a money exchange. I'll take you through it. I just want a good testimonial from it. That can also be a good way to kickstart, because testimonials on the web, right? Think about when somebody comes to you and says, well, Joe wants to me to pay him $1,500 to go through his weight loss program. And that's a reality, by the way. People charge way more than that for high quality weight loss programs out there. The sky's the limit, guys. You got to expand your mind here, and you can access these things as well. And he says, well, he doesn't, his website isn't up or whatever. Well, he did send me an email. He gave a bunch of testimonials. Oh, there's Sarah. I know Sarah. She lives across town. Sarah did a good job with Joe. Joe, got results for Sarah. Well, guess what? That really, really helps you turn a potential lead into a buyer when you have good testimonials lined up. So it's about practice, right? It's never about doing it perfect all at one shot and just arriving on the scene. It's about, okay, do you really love what you're doing? Do you love helping others transform? And do you love helping with your expertise of what you've learned to help others? If you have that, you've got the nucleus. And from that seed, right, within a seed is not only a tree, it's an entire forest. So when you have that seed and you plant it and you grow it and you plant it, then you start the snowball effect. So we've got the proof of concept now. You've got some people interested. You've got some people you're helping. The outreach phase. This is the next one. Like I was saying, the best students and the people who take action, they get out there before their program's even done or before their website's launched, and they're talking to people. Hey, I saw you're having a problem with this. How can I help you? This is what I'm doing. You're one of the first people through. I'll give you a great price. You got to learn how to work with it and give people a special and unique way of working with you, making them feel special too, because they are, right? You say, hey, you're the third person through here. Once I get to person 5, my price goes up. This is all. It's all a mental game in a lot of ways. So you hit that outreach phase and you learn a lot, because you talk to people, they have objections, they have concerns, and you learn how to speak with them in a way where it helps them feel better about taking a step with you, right? Sometimes you want to have a lower price package to get them started if there's a hesitation, or you can, you can do, all sorts of ways you can do that to lower that barrier, right? A sample, a video. A video is a fantastic way for selling. Look at what we're doing here. So the next thing we want to talk about, I'm going to try to keep it short for you guys today, a traffic plan, an actual traffic plan, because once you get on the cold outreach and you're out there talking to people, networking, friends and family, you get to a certain point where that kind of fills out, right? And there's never an end to networking, I believe. It depends on your niche, but I work with business owners, I work with B2B all the time, and it's there's always ways, and I can't explain it. There's like, I just sit down in the morning and write down a couple names, and I'm like, well, he knows this person, and let me talk to him. And before long, I'm in a group call and I'm meeting 2 more people. Like, there's never an end to networking, and you never want to rely on just one traffic source. Like businesses literally, they get addicted to Facebook as their primary lead source. And while that's exciting at one hand, it's also stressful, because Facebook is very known for just shutting ads down. Depending on your niche, it's worse, in certain niches than others, but you can get your ads shut down. So you never want to be relying on one source and kind of, go to sleep on the beach as you think your business is running automatically, so to speak. So traffic plan really matters. There's all kind of ways to get traffic. These days, people have really, flooded to Facebook and YouTube for paid traffic sources. But do you know that Google will send you free traffic all day long if you do your organic search engine optimization right? Now, I don't do that myself. I'm not an expert at programming. I don't know a lick of coding, but it's all about who you team up with. It's all about who you connect with, people that can help you with your business. Hey, what's up, Trevor? Thanks for being here. It's all about who you connect with, guys. It's all really about, your ability to get beside experts who are doing what they do so you can do what you do well. It's about you being an expert in your niche. It's about your category. And then relying on others in a teamwork to really make progress, because by the time you learn programming, by the time you learn Facebook ads, by the time you learn branding and graphic design, by the time you learn how to market on social media, by the time you learn copywriting, you'll be retired. Like, you don't have time to learn all this stuff. So it is about your network. It's about how to connect with good people who can help you get where you want to go. So the 5th step, this is where I see a lot of businesses go wrong. They spend a bunch of money on a website launch, on a sales funnel, they got a bunch of money budgeted for Facebook ads, and they do this quote unquote big launch. And it's stressful. You got a bunch of people coming at you at once. Your systems aren't ready for that much volume. And, your customer service kind of suffers. And your reputation can suffer from it too. It can be exciting to have a big launch. And if you've got a vetted team that's ready, I get it. But I recommend soft launches that just happen incrementally. You don't really have to just go out and, throw down 10, 20K on a website and a sales funnel and branding and turn on a bunch of traffic for another 10 or 20K. Like, you can soak some good money into something pretty quickly. So you want to do soft incremental launches. You don't have to go out and, stay up all night fixing your website so you can get it done at, by 6 a.m. so you can turn on ads and celebrate it and then something breaks, right? And it's just a big stress cooker. I don't recommend those kind of things. I recommend that you build incrementally in a soft way and just have conversations with people. That's really what I'm all about. I'm about helping people, especially experts that want to do more of what they do, coaches, consultants, healthcare practitioners, especially, authors, especially authors. Authors spend all this time writing a book, and then they try to sell a book. It's really hard to sell a book, but what you can do is you can create a transformational course online and invite people in, and you can do really well and build yourself a network and ecosystem. And if you haven't done that, you've been thinking about doing it, I think it's time. I want to talk to you about it. So here's the next steps, guys. Let's do a quick review. You got to refine your idea. You've got to get into a business model that makes sense. A lot of people never make it past phase one because they're talking to their uncle, they're talking to their cousin who, tried to run a business a few years ago, but he quit. And, you got to be careful who you talk to too, because they will turn your dream off just as much as they'll turn it on. So talk to somebody who's done it. Drop me a message if you want to talk about it, but you got to refine your idea. I'm happy to give you a few questions that'll help you sharpen that really quickly. Because if you get out there online and you're not niched in, revenue online isn't about being some penultimate authority. Revenue online is about helping your customers span a gap from here to here, not from here to here. When you get closer to the gap, when people can see that, oh, I'm here and he can help me go to this next step, not all the way over here tomorrow, but this next step. That you actually do better. You'll generate more revenue by having a closed or a smaller gap. So it's not about trying to become some penultimate authority. It's say, hey, this is where my experience is. I don't know everything about my industry, but I've learned a bunch over the last 10 years. And it's these 3 bullet points that keep most people up at night, right? So I'm going to help you knock out these 3 things. And guess what? You're going to be 80% of the way there because you've seen all the different problems that people have had. So I think a lot of people delay starting because they think that they have to amass a certain amount of knowledge, and you do to a degree, but you probably have more knowledge than you realize at this point. So, and in many cases, this happened to me as well. You try to create a course, or you create a transformational process, and you end up filling it full of too much. It's actually, you need to strip away a bunch of things and get, again, those 3 bullet points that we really drill into. That's what it comes down to. So, okay, refined idea. Get that down to a proof of concept by talking to people, coaching them through a mini series of what you want to do. If you're doing, let's say your program is 6 weeks, a transformational program or a coaching program or consulting or counseling, do a 2-week trial program for somebody and get a few of those, get your testimonials rolling, right? Get your proof of concept, get your social proof, and then those testimonials you can always turn into other sales because people recognize that as, oh, they're out doing it, they've done it, and here's the people that have been happy about it. And just make sure they're true and authentic. And it's not that difficult to do. You can send a few emails and get good testimonials that way. Even from people in your past business, like people say, well, I worked here for 10 years. Talk to them first. Talk to people that you've had great projects with. Talk to people that you've, had successful campaigns with. And say, hey, could you do a quick write-up, as a professional and say what it was like working with me? That's very good too. So you can start there. Okay, next, let's wrap this up. So once you get your proof of concept done, you get through the outreach phase and you're out there talking to people, practicing your trade too, right? You've got to get better at it. Nobody goes out and plays basketball. They're not good the first day of basketball. It's just not how it works. And this is exactly the same way. So it's better to just start and fumble around a bit. You'll get better over time than wait until you think you're going to get to a certain point. So after you get the outreach phase going, the traffic plan, right? We've got to think, okay, maybe I can't do cold outreach all day because I've got a bunch of clients and I want to focus on my clients. So traffic plans, organic, social media, paid traffic, YouTube. These are all great things to do once you have your foundation set up. Like I was saying at the beginning of the video, you don't always want to rely on one specific social media platform because they can change and they can turn you off overnight because it's their platform. They own it, not you. So you want to rely on your website first. Social media comes around that secondary. Although you should and can launch a website very simply on Wix for $20 a month on a weekend. So you don't think you need to spend a ton of money on the website to get going. So traffic plan, thinking about where those sources are going to come from. I want to grow this thing. I don't want to be spending all day on the phone. So what's our traffic plan after you've done the other steps? And then finally, sequential and incremental soft launches. Keep it quiet. You don't need to be all stressed out about it, but you want to be consistently reaching for that next level of your business, because if your business isn't growing, in certain ways it's going backwards. And you can run your business to be any size, any way, anyhow you want, in terms of, I just want it to be a one-person practice. Here's my Facebook ads girl over here. I pay her this much a month. She keeps my ads going. Here's my technology over here. It costs this much, and I just love to be on Zoom calls with my clients all day. That's what I love to do. I can see myself doing that. You can do that perfectly fine. But other times you're going to want to say, hey, we're doing well. I have more business than I can handle. I'm going to hire another practitioner. I'm going to split the revenue with them, and they're going to do well. I'm going to do well. And then you got to think about, okay, what processes do they need to know? And then here's where it gets really good. And I'm going to wrap this up in a second. Once you start learning processes in your business of, oh man, I've coached hundreds of people, I've counseled hundreds of people, I see the same patterns, you can turn that into an online course and teach other people how to be a facilitator. So, you can go all the way up that, and there's all kind of scale and leverage opportunities in that in a matured system. I think another big mistake people make is they try to build a course blind. They try to build a course sort of their first time out of the gate, and it's not consistent. It's not, what I want to say, efficient. Like I said, you got to eliminate a bunch of stuff and pick like 3 big things to make a course, as opposed to trying to fit a bunch of stuff in, because otherwise it gets too convoluted. And most people, I think the statistics are like 80 to 90% of people who buy and start courses never finish them. So slow and steady wins the race. You definitely get paid more as an expert in the digital economy. That's my theme this week. So maybe you know somebody who's running a business. Maybe you're thinking about starting a business yourself. Maybe you know somebody who's written a book. Maybe somebody who really has an expertise. What I see a lot of is 50 and 60-year-old business owners. The guy who runs the clinic down the street, the person who's run a car lot business for a long time. Those types of people are really good for taking their knowledge and seeing how they can apply it online, because they do. They have an entire lifetime of knowledge. And, with COVID today, the business world is kind of shifting. So a lot of people need to make a shift. What can we do online? How can we turn what we're doing here and augment it with the internet, right? There's all kinds of ways to turn an existing business and expertise or knowledge base into digital revenue. So that's what I love doing. That's what I'm here to do. If you know anybody who needs digital help, what I like to say is we want to help you do more of what you want to do with your clients, right? So we want to help you with the technology, the branding, and most importantly, going back to the beginning, where is that small gap that you can fit into and get paid really well for what you do? That's where we start, because if you have that, everything else goes. If you don't have that, all the branding, all the messaging, all the work that you do is just kind of loose. It doesn't really get traction and go. So you got to map the gap. Maybe that's the takeaway from this call. So map the gap. Where is your market? Take them from A to C, not A to Z. What are the hurdles and roadblocks, right? What is it that you were stuck with 5 or 10 years ago that you had learned that you can now help people overcome? You probably know the patterns because you're the expert. So anyhow, thanks so much. Please reach out to me if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the next one.